Ladies and gentlemen, what's up, and welcome today to a bit of an early look at Yondu, his abilities, his gameplay, talking about what potentially the character might be used for. So first and foremost, a massive shout out to MCOC Mod, who managed to get up a kind of like abilities video and also gameplay video for Yondu and Nebula yesterday. Really awesome video if you haven't already seen it. But today I wanted to kind of take that video to the next level by looking at each one of his abilities in an extraordinary amount of depth and talking about the various uses in the game for the abilities and synergies with various characters to hopefully like get a rough idea of what Yondu's going to be good for and how exactly good is this champion and whether or not you want to go for him. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. So let's start off by jumping to the abilities section. Now in terms of the signature ability, we're going to get back to that because that's an interesting one to talk about, but first and foremost, let's cover his basic abilities before we talk about the synergy between the signature ability and his basics. So, first up, he has Yaka Arrow. So it looks like Yaka Arrow, Yondu doesn't do his medium attack, his heavy attack, from what I've observed anyway. It's just a rough prediction. It doesn't look like he does his medium, heavy, or any special attacks. Instead, his arrow does it for him, which is really cool. And on these attacks, it looks like you have a 25% chance to inflict bleed, which actually on a 5-star rank 5 level 65 Yondu deals 100% of his attack over 7 seconds. Really strong bleed there, but you know, how many stacks can you get of it? I'm not really too sure, because again, in the MCOC mod videos, I think it's always kind of like auto fight gameplay. It's never like somebody actually playing, so you don't get a good idea of how you can build tempo with this character. And especially in the Yondu versus Nebula matchup, there's no deep wounds, and also Nebula is immune to bleed, so we can't get a good idea of exactly how strong the bleed is. But it seems really good from seeing this, and it's the fact that it triggers on special attacks as well, and a few of them seem to kind of be multiple hit. I see quite a bit of potential as Yondu for quite a strong bleed champion, but again, we need to do a little bit more testing there. Now, if the target is immune to bleed, they suffer from a really weak armor break instead. It's only 233, which is really nothing in terms of armor breaks. I mean, to give you a bit of a comparison, Spider-Gwen's is about 500, and that triggers on most hits. And that isn't a huge amount there, so yeah, I'm not really seeing too much damage potential against bleed immune opponents, but the fact that it does something instead of nothing, like that's good to have, and it's good synergy with his kind of power gimp mechanic, and we'll talk about that in a second. And also, any Yaka Arrow attacks have additional armor and block penetration, so that's going to be very good versus like every character. The armor penetration is good, and when you're attacking into a block opponent, a couple of medium attacks, a little bit more damage there. You certainly can't knock that. So let's move down his abilities and also talk about the next thing that he can do. So the next thing that he has is a Yondu actually on all attacks has a 25% chance to steal the target's armor, which you might be able to trade for units later. Now, I think the second line, I think that's just for flavor, because he's a Ravager, he's a space pirate, he's trying to, you know, he steals stuff and sells it, so I don't think this guy is going to be a walking ATM, but, you know, we would very much enjoy that. But I'm interested to see the interaction, like, whether or not it steals just one stack of armor or like all the opponent's armor, because if it steals all the opponent's armor, this character is going to be insane versus Black Panther Civil War. Just so good for that, if you can just keep on like ravaging his armor over and over again. Also potentially has good matchups against like Civil Warrior, Colossus, Unstoppable Colossus, Doctor Strange at the start of the fight for removing his armor up. So yeah, some potentially interesting stuff there. And the second thing is that your opponent will actually generate 10% less power for each debuff they suffer from, and this goes up to a max of 50%. So I think, you know, with the bleed and armor being about 7 seconds, going up to potentially like 9.5 seconds with deep wounds with a bleed, I think it's roughly on average that you can have anywhere between like probably like 2 to 4 stacks if you're playing very aggressively. So a 20 to 40% power reduction on the opponent, it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. We'll take that. It's a very nice thing to have. Certainly not character defining, but it's a nice thing for the character to have. So heavy attacks have plus 50% offensive ability accuracy, and as we mentioned earlier, the the Yaka Arrow is actually, it's a heavy attack, so that basically ups the chance to bleed or armor break on the heavy attack, which is just a straight pierce through the opponent, to 37%, so that's alright, but yeah, it's nice to have, And the next one we have is the special attack 1. Now, I'm quite interested by the special attack 1. This seems really useful. Like, Yondu, I think, is going to be one of those characters that for an event is just kind of like he's an option. He's a go-to character, and I'll explain why. So special attack 1 has plus 100% offensive ability accuracy. So this works in 2 ways. It doubles the chance for your bleed and armor break to trigger, but also pretty much guarantees if you do suffer from any sort of ability accuracy reduction buff, that your heal block is going to trigger, which is the second component to the special attack 1. 100% chance to inflict a heal block that lasts for 10 seconds, but if the target is regenerating, a la like an Iron Man or Wolverine or X-23, actually inflicts the heal block for 20 seconds. Insanely long heal block. Even like the 10-second one is insanely long for a special one. Plenty of like great synergy with that. It just adds, I believe, Yondu to the list of characters that should be able to absolutely slay a Realm of Legends Wolverine. So yeah, really good, and a potential option, you know, if you're a super good player for finding Wolverine with a 3-star character. You will need to stay alive throughout the fight though, because, you know, if you do drop off, then yeah, but if you can just keep on firing off the special one, it's potential there to slay Realm of Legends Wolverine. And also, like in this month's event in King Groot's Loot Master Mode, you have like that triple regen Deadpool. Yondu just becomes like another character that's a pretty decent option for a scenario like that. So I think, you know, if you want to like pick up a solid utility character, Yondu seems pretty good to go for as a 3-star in the arena for dealing with annoying regeneration champions. So yeah, I like that one quite a bit. Now, we move on to his special attack 2. So this one has a bit more block penetration as well, but also gives you plus, this is, I did the math on this one, it's plus 15% attack for each special attack activated by the enemy this fight, and it's a max of 15 stacks. So that, actually, it's not a max of 15 stacks, it's a max of a times 15 multiplier. So it's kind of, it's a nice to have. I thought that this was actually going to be a Fury looking at the data mined abilities yesterday that kind of continued on throughout the fight. But if you're in a really long fight, if you've baited like over 15 stacks, I imagine this is going to hit really hard. But that is plus a certain amount of attack for each special attack activated by the enemy. So that's going to take like quite a while to ramp up. And the damage, I know it could be pretty insane when you get up there, but it's something to test out. It's something to see. But seems fairly interesting. I quite like that mechanic. It's pretty cool. And then finally on the special attack 3, we have 2 different components to that. So we have a 100% chance to boost the critical hit rating by 700. It's kind of a nice to have, not super character defining, but it's a nice little boost there. And also severely damaged by the Yaka Arrow, enemies are unable to trigger abilities during their next special attack. So I think this is a bit of an interesting one. We talked about it yesterday and got some kind of uses for this ability in the YouTube comments. And the main 2 were like Unstoppable Colossus and Juggernaut and Magic, or the main 3, I guess, for countering either Unstoppable or Limbo. I don't think, to be honest, like the special attack 3, it's too much of a build-up, and it's not going to be able to counter aggressively enough to make this like a super viable strategy, because, you know, you can't get to the special attack. It's not feasible to generate that amount of power to get to the special attack 3 to work around something like Magic's Limbo. But it's occasionally a nice thing to have. Like, it's alright, it's not too bad, but I really don't think it's character defining or has many exceptional uses. It has certain circumstances where it's going to be okay, but nothing too amazing. However, the special attack 3, it does look very badass, it does look very awesome, so that's a bit of a redeeming factor for that. Now, in terms of Yondu, let's scroll right back up to the signature ability here. We have Centurion Archery. Now, we talked about this potentially being useless on yesterday's video, And I'm pretty sure it is going to be 100% useless, and I'll explain why. So basically, this enemies activating a special attack suffer from weakness for each debuff effect they're suffering from at the time of the activation, reducing attack by 40% for 5 seconds. Now, another debuff that works exactly the same, I believe anyway, is Yellow Jacket's Power Sting, and this triggers after the enemy has actually activated their special attack. If this triggers, like, just before the point of activation, then it might be really, really good, because you can have, you know, they trigger their special free, they instantly have, like, 100% attack reduction if you've got more than 3 debuffs on, and you take no damage from the special free. But if it works like the other trigger ability does in Yellow Jacket, Yellow Jacket's Power Sting will not trigger until after the special free has been activated, so in that case, it's just not going to be very useful, because they use their special free, you take all the damage, then you've got the weakness, but then you just parry them, and then you just, you know, it doesn't really matter too much. For like most other special attacks outside of the special free, it's just going to be a case of evade that special attack and then attack into the opponent. So I only really see this signature ability being super, super good if it triggers like right before they use their special free, which I don't think it will. But in that case, you know, if it does have that synergy, hey, it might be pretty damn good. So now we're going to dive into some of the gameplay for Yondu and talk about, you know, some of the stuff that we've discussed earlier in this video and how it's interacting. So initially, Yondu is going for that sweet, sweet special one, so we can, like, get a rough idea of the heal block uptime. Again, it's 10 seconds, but 10 seconds is so long. It's more than enough time, especially if you're playing fairly optimally to reach the next special one and fire that off. Again, even kind of like just frolicking about there, managed to reach the special one in time. So if, you know, you were connecting, it'd be so incredibly easy to do. So moving on to next one, the special 2 animation, so cool. It's just this rapid bombardment from the arrow, looks absolutely insane. And as you'll be able to see, whenever he's lunging for a medium attack, whenever he's charging up his heavy attack, and also on the specials, that is when the arrow is coming out. But when he's using those light attacks, the arrow just seems to remain holstered and not really get involved there. So I'm pretty sure I'm right on that front, but I may be wrong. I may be wrong. If anybody has any different observations on how the arrow mechanic works, I'd be very interested to get some perspective on that. But anyway, we're charging up and getting ready for the special free now. Nebula's attacking in. A little bit more on the power meter. A couple more hits is going to do it, and then he's going to go God mode and activate the special free. And the special free is so incredibly savage that I love it. So the arrow just fires through Nebula, just beats her up a little bit, pierces the heart from behind, and absolutely wrecks her. So Yondu, really, really cool special animation. I think out of all of his animations, the special 2 is by far the best one. Now, this is where Yondu's getting beat up a little bit here, but it's interesting to see as well, you know, exactly kind of like how he's taking hits, and you still get to see some of the damage and specials showcased on the fireback here. So again, with those medium attacks triggering his Yaka Arrow there. Oh, that bombardment on the special, it's so insanely cool, and that was actually enough damage to trigger Nebula's regen, which never seems to trigger. Like, we'll discuss this a little bit more in the Nebula video, but Nebula's regen seems a little bit garbage, But anyway, that's the heavy attack charge in there, just got interrupted by Nebula. Oh, not super great. Is he going to use his special 1 again? Maybe the special 2 in this fight, I'm not too sure. A couple of snacks of armor break. I think if you're playing aggressively, like, with the bleed, it seems like quite possible. Maybe if you, like, do very aggressive, like, double medium parry combos, to actually get maybe like 4 to 5 snacks of bleed up most of the time. But again, something we need the character, we need to do a little bit of testing to actually figure out, you know, if that's going to work, if that's going to be a viable strategy. But I want to see Yondu's bleed so incredibly badly, but unfortunately, damn, that needle pierce heavy attack is so friggin' cool. Really awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, to summarize my early thoughts on Yondu, he seems like a fairly interesting character. I think he's going to have some really good matchups. I think he's going to be one of those characters that is like that character that you go to deal with really annoying heal mechanics and like master mode events and new challenges. So I think he's definitely going to have a use for that. However, I don't think there's anything like super insane or amazing about Yondu that's kind of going to elevate him to either demigod or god tier unless the bleed for him is really strong and you can keep up the tempo in that, and somehow he just has some insane damage output. But I think there's some stuff I'd like to test out on longer fights, especially with his bleed, his special 2 damage. I think he has some potential there, but nothing initially is coming across that is like absolutely like crazy amazing about this character. But his animations seem really cool. He's got very unique ability and interaction with his Yaka Arrow, so I'm interested to see like how this character works in the game. But apart from that, I will leave my comparative thoughts on Yondu and Nebula until we've done the Nebula video, which hopefully should be coming out at some point later today. If you did enjoy today's video, feel free to smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, thank you for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.